I think the real question that they're asking is, when I sit down to do a reading for someone, am I actually giving them information that I'm getting from the ether or from the dead, or am I just simply picking up on cues that I'm getting from sitting with the person? That's a fair question. It's not even one I would get upset about. Because if you're going to give somebody your money, make an appointment to talk to a perfect stranger who supposedly knows nothing about you, but is going to sit there with you for an hour, talk to your loved ones, and act as an intermediary, that's about all the resume you're going to get. So, fair question. Let's talk about that. Most of my readings are done cold, meaning I don't know the person. They're also done almost all virtually, which means I'm not sitting with the person. Most of the time it's on the phone, so I'm not even seeing them through a video. There have been a couple of times where I make an appointment to talk with somebody, nothing really comes through. Intuitives have off days. That's why when you see folks like, it was James Van Praagh has a really famous one, I think that was his name, where he's doing a reading and was picking up on nobody in the audience. He was getting dead people. Nobody was connecting with them. And I felt so sorry for him because obviously his people had booked that probably months in advance. He was having an off day. It happens to all of us. It doesn't mean he's not good at what he does. So the answer is no. That isn't what I do. I can't say that's true for everyone because I've seen people do it. There is a lot that you can intuit by looking at someone, or things that you can infer by how they speak. You can tell whether someone's educated. You can tell whether someone leans one way or the other politically by some of the things they say. You can tell a lot by what they wear, what type of jewelry they have. I mean, there's so many things subconsciously that we judge people on. But that isn't something, and I've been very hypercritical of myself because remember, I'm skeptical, even of this. I am very skeptical of all of it. So in those situations, I can tell you with complete honesty that no, the information that's coming through is not mine. It isn't anything that I could make up, and there's no way that the accuracy could be that dead on with people I don't know. Let me give you an instance. I was doing a reading for a client whose husband had died under very odd circumstances. They hadn't told the family that they believed there might be foul play involved. This came through in his reading in a very specific way that aligned with what the family had internally talked about. I had no way of knowing that. The deceased person did, though. He had an opinion about that, who they needed to talk to. There was another situation where the client called for a reading. The person came through right away, another person I had never met before. And the very first thing the dead person said was, "You're doing something very destructive. Nobody knows you're doing it. I see what you're doing. Stop it. You've got to stop whatever it is that you started doing that's self-destructive since I died. Do you know what I'm talking about?" And they started crying and said, "Yes, I know exactly what he's talking about." Those aren't things that you could pick up. So when you go to see an intuitive, those are the types of things they should be talking to you about, not something that is vague. So it should, if you're getting answers like, "It looks like you've got a trip planned," vague. It honestly, if you're with somebody, they should be able to give you more information about that. If the trip is already planned, I've got a feeling that you're going somewhere warm. It's where I think your mother-in-law used to like to go. It should be very specific. So best advice I can give you from somebody who's an intuitive, if you go to another intuitive, they should be able to tell you things without prompting. They should not be asking you questions. So a leading question would be, "I'm picking up railroad ties. Is there a connection with railroad ties?" Or "the color blue." Those are very vague. And it's easy in our minds because we want to make that connection with the person who's crossed to bridge those gaps. Don't do that. Sit down with them, say very little. They should be able to sit down with you and make small talk for just a few minutes, very briefly. How was your drive? How's your week going so far? Things that have nothing at all to do with your reading, just that sort of connect to you. And then the reading should start right away without a lot of preamble. You should not be giving anything away. It's okay to say, "I understand," or "I'm not so sure, I'm not understanding that one." And a good intuitive will say, "I could get it wrong. So tuck that away. That might make sense later on. Let's move on with whatever piece of information is next." So to answer the question, yes, some intuitives do that. I am not one of them.